how to cook rabbit meat. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cook a delicious sweet and sour rabbit dish. So let's get to it. Hi, I'm going to be making a rabbit dish today, and the deal with rabbit is that it's very low fat. So it's best to do it, I think, on low and slow with moisture. So that means I'm usually roasting my rabbit in a covered dish with a liquid in it to keep it nice and moist in there. And I roast it for probably several hours. Today I'm going to be making an Asian dish with it, and I would normally, because I'm kind of a lazy cook, normally I would just put the liquid in and shove it in the oven. But today I'm going to brown the pieces first and then put it in the roasting pan with its liquid. And I'll be using rabbit fat that I rendered. I like to use the fat from around the internal organs. I don't use the fat from the outsides around on the back or the back of the legs or the neck. I just find that has a little bit stronger flavor. This smells great. It's a rather soft fat. It has more polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats. Excuse my pronunciation if I did that wrong. Anyway, yeah, so I'll be using this to fry it up, and then it'll go in the pan and in the oven with some liquid and a cover on it. I'll get back to you later. So for reference, this is one whole rabbit worth. Our rabbits are a little bit bigger than a New Zealand, but smaller than a Flemish giant. And we butchered them at 19 weeks, which is old. It was older than we should have been, but that's just when we could get it done with our weather and friends helping and stuff like that. So that's a fairly large rabbit, and because we're having a family dinner tonight, I just wanted to cook up the whole thing. So this has all been browned in the frying pan, and I used about 3 tablespoons of the rabbit fat to do all of that. And FYI, this is the fat from 12 rabbits. So for people who say that you will die by eating rabbit meat because there's not enough fat, no, not true. Not with domestic rabbits. With wild rabbits, sure, I can see that. But this stuff, there's lots here to do 12 rabbits. Okay? So then I'm going to be adding some ginger and garlic, and here's my chopped up ginger. And you could use a grater, but I just find it's easier just to toss that into the blender. So I'll be putting that in the blender with some garlic and probably an orange, and put it in here and with some more liquid, and just let it go in the oven for several hours. And then I'll take out some of the liquid, let it cool off a bit, add a bit of thickener like cornstarch and some vinegar to give it a little acid, maybe even some soy sauce. We'll see how it goes. So that's the plan. We'll get back to you later, let you know how it worked out. Now some people might be wondering what rabbit fat would taste like, and I just have some left over from when I fried up the meat in the pan, and it's very mild. Really not much flavor at all. And it's a soft fat, so melts quickly, doesn't have that waxy flavor in your mouth like a deer fat would. In the past, when we had rabbits before, we fed them, I believe, sunflower seeds as we were trying to get the growers to grow. And when we had the fat that time, I didn't really like it as well. This stuff is pretty mild. We just fed them straight pellets, nothing else. And they were growing over the winter, so we couldn't feed them really much anything else anyway, except for hay. So it's a very mild, good tasting fat. I'm quite pleased with it. All right, I'll get back to you later when we take it out of the oven and do the finishing steps. One more cooking tip. I zested the skin off of the orange first, and then just pureed the orange flesh with my ginger and some water and put it on the rabbit. The reason I did that is because sometimes the rinds of oranges or lemons or limes, things like that, If they're cooked too long, they can get a bitter taste, or if you add the white pith part, that can add a bitterness to it. So I didn't want that. I'll just add this at the end when there's very little time left to cook. I'm also adding some peppers into the dish, and these are ones that were grown on my peppers that I'm overwintering in the house. So they grew in the garden last year, and then I dug them up and put them in pots and brought them into the house for the winter, and they're still producing peppers. So if you want to see that video, I'll put a link in the description below. Hi, did you know I wrote a cookbook? It's called Delicious, Cheap, Healthy, Whole Grains, Beans, and Lentils, Staples for Budget-Friendly Meals. In it, you'll find recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, snacks, and staples, all the good stuff. And it's available on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, back to the video. I wanted to give you an update of how the rabbit turned out. We ate it last night for a family supper, but I had company over and I was doing the last minute touches to it right before dinner, and so it was just too loud and chaotic to do any filming then. So I'm showing it to you today. We're going to be eating it as leftovers tonight. So I wanted to get to show you before we had supper tonight again. So here's what it looks like. The rabbit and the sauce. So for the sauce, I did add another orange, the pulp. I chopped up the pulp of an orange, and I used the grated rind off of the 2 oranges and put that in at the end. I also used 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, a tablespoon of soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of vinegar. For the liquid, there was probably 3 or 4 cups of liquid afterwards. And a little bit of sesame oil, so like a teaspoon, and a little bit of salt and sweetener of your choice. Yeah, just took out some of the hot liquid, let it cool off for a little bit, and then added the cornstarch and whisked that in, and then put it back into the liquid and brought it to a boil again so it would thicken. And there we have our, and then once that was done, put the meat back in so it could warm up again, because I had taken the meat out during the cooking the sauce stage at the very end, like for 5 minutes. And you'll see, hopefully you can see, the rabbit is soft enough that I can cut it with a spoon. That means that it is nice and tender to eat. So, and it turned out great. Oh, and I did put in some freeze-dried peppers along with some of those peppers that were growing in my window. So that's it. I can taste it if you want me to. I can show you. Delightful. Tastes like chicken. I know everything tastes like chicken, but when we first started eating rabbit, our oldest son couldn't handle it. He had issues with little bones in it, and I don't know, just something about it. He was like, oh, I can't eat it. So we always just say, we're having chicken. So last night when he was over, he was like, oh, this is really good. Like, yeah, it's same thing. It's that chicken. But I don't know, age, growing up, who knows? Anyway, so rabbit is enjoyable and it's fairly easy to cook. It just takes a little knowing to cook it low and slow. I think I had it in the oven for 2 or 3 hours at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. That's kind of what I do. And I couldn't say that I have an actual recipe. It's just throw things in. But once you know the principle of low and slow, covered with liquid, it's pretty easy. You can do what you want with it. You just kind of have to figure out what works for you. All right. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, help a girl out. Thanks.